Welcome back to the 2019 Idaho State Championship MA40 lead card final round. This is the middle nine, I'm
Hey,
Will Leroy Jenkins.
Yep, and I'm Brandon Mook Merzlock, and even though the tournament isn't sponsored by Infinite Discs, Infinite Discs is sponsoring the video. So,
Yes. And we're both play for Infinite Discs.
That's right. We're both sponsored by Infinite Discs, and I own the Mook's Infinite Disc Tour.
Don't forget to pick up your Me, Myself, and I tour fundraiser disc. I have some
Will
left.
Leroy Jenkins. And here I am in all my glory.
And Brian Hancock, Mountain Green, Utah.
Yep, excellent player. And Eddie Armenta from Nampa, Idaho. It's Boise area.
Kurt Myrick, Western Utah.
And we got Dustin the Hood Rat from Buell, Idaho. That's
Yep.
just outside of Twin Falls. So
Camera didn't want to focus on him.
after the front nine, it looks like Mook has an 8-stroke lead going into hole D. So hole D is a temporary hole that they put out past the grass. It's more of a dogleg right, but it has very tight OB. It's very close to the OB pass. And here goes Eddie throwing a backhand to Annie.
And he ends up just a little.
It looks like that might have carried out of bounds.
Yeah.
I think it did. Everything to the right of that path is OB, and everything to the left is good, except for the path plays like a river.
If you guys remember from the front line coverage, I said that Kurt throws fast, and I missed his drive there. He had never played this hole, so he was asking this position of the hole, because there's actually two pin positions.
Yeah.
And so he was asking where it was at, and the next thing you know, he throws. So I missed it.
Yeah, and to clarify, there's two paths. The path that jets to the left that you can't see in this picture, it plays like a river, but this one plays right and beyond his OB. And the flick really is the play. I think so. Me and Brian, I think, are in the circle, if I can remember right, on those two. They just whiz past that tall tree. Here goes Dustin with an Annie backhand. Looks like it's a little bit low.
He just didn't get in.
Yeah, and you got to be careful over there because there is that river path. I mean, it's kind of hard to land on it. Looks like Dustin is safe, but he does have an upshot here he's got to manage.
And he just slid OB off the cage, didn't he?
Yeah, so you can see that blue disc in the path is actually the disc that Dustin just threw. And, oh, man, he was having a hard time staying out of that sneaky OB today.
Here's Kurt's run up. Run for the...
It's a great bid by Kurt. Almost gets the birdie. There's my youngest son, Calvin, caddying for me. He volunteered. He loves to do it. And I've got a little pitch out over the sage bush. I almost hit it. I really thought I had it. But if I go past that basket, I'm OB. And Brian's in the same spot. He was 5 feet behind me, a little more to the left, so he didn't have to navigate over the sage bush. But again, if he's going to run this and he misses the basket completely, he's going to be out of bounds. So this is about 30 feet. Oh, he hits the same part of the basket I do.
And you can see where Eddie's just landed on his drive, so he's...
Yeah, it's a great shot. Just looks like he came out of bounds just a bit, so he's going to bring it back where it left in bounds with a penalty stroke, and he does get a meter of relief off of there. With that bush there, it's going to leave some tricky footing for him. It's not a very long putt, but still tricky footing can throw you off. And remember, we are all AMs, so nothing's a gimme.
Great putt.
Brings me to my my slogan for the MA40 division. You're never out of it in the MA40 division.
And Dustin will take his bogey.
Yeah, Dustin had that sneaky one roll out of bounds. Kurt's going to clean up his par here. You can see the dock behind there. It's a beautiful fishing dock over the lake. They have great trout in that lake.
Tap-ins for Brian and Mook.
Yeah. Another DGA basket on a temp hole. So, and I don't mind DGA baskets. That's what I got in my backyard. So it looks like everybody pretty much maintained their score. Dustin dropped a stroke. He's worried about the chase card. And we're moving on to hole E, which is a really tricky hole. I wish I had a picture of this hole because You can see that line that comes off of the tee pad. That's all out of bounds to the right there. And there's also OB in the middle of the fairway, so you want to stay on the right side and kind of hug that OB line on the right.
Yeah, they've made it to where the green is on a little peninsula.
So Eddie has a great shot, but just that last bounce goes out of bounds.
Yeah, it was just out of bounds.
For me, it's not worth it to play with that OB. I mean, he's behind, so he's being aggressive to catch up, and he does a great job of, committing to being aggressive this round. Here's Kurt with the backhand, and
that's the safe play.
Yep, and that's kind of where you want to be. That's the OB I was talking about in the middle of the fairway. So it looks like Kurt just laid up and is going to pitch up to the basket, which I think is the smart play. And here goes Brian with another backhand. He's not sponsored by Latitude 64, despite what his shirt says. That means that he sponsors Latitude 64.
Ah.
A lot of people in that position. And Brian, I believe, throwing an Envy, right up that line.
And that's almost textbook for the layup.
Yeah, that's as close as you want to get to that line, but it gives you a nice little jump putt up to the basket. And I'm going to throw a Champion Rock here. I know what it's going to do.
I mean, I believe most of these players could reach that basket. It's just the risk is not worth the reward.
It really isn't. So, and I lay up maybe a little too much than I wanted to, but I'm still safe. And that's the most important thing on this hole.
And Dustin's right up there, too.
Dustin's right up there, too. So you can see the one person who's aggressive on that hole really didn't pay off for him, because now they're putting for a 3 with that OB stroke. So this is my D-blend tomb. I'm loving it for upshots. It fades right off of that OB, and it's sitting right next to the basket. There's Kurt with his upshot. So he goes into those bushes there, and he stays out of bounds. Just turns over his upshot.
Dustin putting it up next to the basket.
Yep, he's right there. Textbook on how to play that hole.
You should have a very easy par putt from there.
Brian should have the easiest upshot on his.
He's got the clear look at the basket.
Second throw.
And I think at this point he's trying to jump back in, to try to spark his game.
Yep. I think that Brian is maybe not so much worried about me anymore, but is worried about people catching up to him.
Yes.
So he's just trying to get his game in order. And, we've been talking about this too, about, when you just start slipping during a round, how to reset.
Yeah.
How do you reset your game and start over? It's so hard when one thing snowballs right after another. And I think Brian's got caught into that. And I don't know if I have the answer for that either. But it's a tough place to be. Here goes Eddie. He's out of bounds. He's going for par. He's got it. He might have to ante it around this bush here to give it a shot. So that bush is only 2 feet tall, so you can see how tall Eddie really is. just teasing Eddie. And Eddie's so awesome because he every time he putts, he really believes. You can see it in his eyes that he's going to make it. He's excited. He's running it down.
Yeah, he is.
Whether it goes in or not. Kurt taking it up as a relief off the out of bounds, comes in with a bogey. Just a little bit off on his upshot there.
Yeah.
So we're in cleanup mode right now.
You can see them bugs flying around the canvas. It's
Yeah,
that time of the year.
It is. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, with the weather the way it was, the colder weather, the bugs weren't near as bad as they are normally. And normally what you see out in Walcott is you see a bunch of disc golfers waiting on a tee pad just flapping their discs in front of their face, trying to get mayflies out of their face. So that was the nice thing about this year with it being colder, that there weren't as many, but still had a bunch.
Yeah.
Here's another, this is hole E, so it's another DGA basket. I think these were actually borrowed from Massacre Rocks. These baskets were. So it's another state park in the area that has disc golf.
Yep. They have a 18-hole course and then a little 9-hole pitch and putt style course.
Yeah, and our old Walcott Park manager Travis Taylor is now the
Park Ranger.
park ranger, yeah, at Massacre Rocks, and they're both disc golf heavy state parks. And shout out to him for helping us out over the years. He has done just phenomenal things for the sport in southern Idaho. Hole 15 it's a short shot. It's got a wall behind the basket that protects like overthrowing. So a lot of people go after this basket, but it's in a pretty tough shot. It's very protected by trees.
He clipped a branch there and
Yep.
just knocked him down a little early.
And this is a new position, and it's actually the first time I've thrown this position. And so I try a roller since it's got a wall behind there. I figure if it goes long, it'll hit the wall. But even that roller got away from me and took a left.
Over by the picnic table.
Over by the picnic tables, maybe 50 to 60 feet out. And there's Dustin coming up to it.
Oh yeah.
He gets that just under the tree, and that's a fabulous shot.
Yep, great shot by Dustin.
Got the wall behind it.
Getting up to the basket. So I have a younger brother, Brad, who plays this hole, and about 4 holes after I played it, or 4 groups, he was able to get the ace.
Yep.
Off of that. And here goes Eddie with his shot. He's going to throw a line drive, and it looks like it peters out a little left for him. Kurt Myrick. Again, the only one in my division who had a lower PDGA number than me. Goes with the backhand roller.
Didn't he play college football?
rollers in the same.
I think he was mentioning that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he played college football.
So here's a shot for me, and I'm going for it because there's a wall back there, and boom,
Oh,
makes the big shot. Again, I think that's at least 50 feet, and it was a hyzer putt, away and around from that tree. Didn't use many chains, but I didn't need them. That was a feel-good moment. Just gave it a chance.
Yeah.
You know.
Nope.
I didn't believe it going, but it went in, and that was a great moment for me. It's probably my highlight of the round right there.
Kurt gave it a good run.
Did I go too fast?
Yeah. And here's Eddie with he's had a lot of these 30 to 40 foot putts this round, but you know he's going to give it a shot.
Does he run it in?
Of course he runs it in, and whether it goes in or not, he's going to run it in. So maybe he knows you missed it and he's trying to chase it down and redirect it. And there's Brian.
Right. Nice
Good
birdie.
Yeah.
It's good to see him get a birdie.
Getting back on track.
Even with his up and down round, he is he was always positive.
Yeah.
And I want to say good professional.
There you go, Dustin.
Even though he's in the AM division,
Dustin gets the bird as well.
yes, good putt, Dustin.
And Eddie's stepping up. So, you know, again, Eddie's not sponsored by DD. So by buying that shirt, he sponsored DD himself.
Yeah.
You can see that Kurt's got his 1950s stool there. I hope he got video of that later.
I did not.
He brought this stool that stakes into the ground and then flaps open, and he got it somewhere, but it's from the 1950s. Looks like I've got my 10 stroke lead back. Here we're on hole F, 251 foot par 3.
Keep turning.
There's a lot of hairy stuff here. There's a bush, there's a tree. After that tree that Brian just hit is a road, which is out of bounds. And then there's another tree just left of the basket. So you either have to hit that little shady gap there, or maybe do a big hyzer flip or flick, something like that. I throw an understable slab here, and it actually hits the road. Overstable slab, sorry. An anhyzer slab is what I meant to say.
Yep.
It hits the road just right. It flashes past the basket, and I'm right there in the circle.
The thing is on that angle behind the basket, it's only like
You gotta throw
8 feet to the OB.
Yeah, all those weeds behind the basket, there's an OB line. So Dustin, just letting his go a little bit late, goes into the trees. The good thing about that shot is it's in bounds.
Yep.
You know, that's the biggest fear here, is going out of bounds. And here's Eddie, and he hit the line. It just kind of faded out left there. but I believe he's okay.
This hole is actually located on just right next to where many of the disc golfers are camping, and then the RV park where more of them are camping for in their RVs and trailers and stuff. It's right there. It's
Safe,
Yep,
right?
and there's Kurt. He goes a little bit right, but he's short and he's in bounds. So he's got a pretty easy putt across the road. You don't have to worry about too much OB, just sailing past the basket and going OB. Dustin throws his a little high there.
Yep.
They have 6 extra holes, I believe.
7 or 6.
6 that
Yep.
takes it to a 27-hole course. They did that a while back because they want to fit as many players as possible. Here's Brian with his putt. Into the tournament, while doing a shotgun start, so they had 27 holes. When they moved over to tee pads, tee times, thank you. They kept it that way.
Yeah.
They don't need to have all those holes, but it makes for a pretty epic day.
Yeah.
It's a 3-day tournament. You can see Kurt with his putt across the road, Eddie with his putt across the road. It's a pretty safe putt. Here's Eddie with another one of those 30 or 40 footers.
Yeah.
Again, will he make it? He's running it down. Boom.
Yep.
Gets this one.
Yeah.
Yep, and you can keep running on that one. Nice job, Eddie.
Yep. He needed that one to keep pace with you because you were, like we said earlier, right next to the basket.
Yep.
But you can see how close that OB is. It might be a little more than 8 feet, but it's not much more.
I'm pretty close to the OB, but I'll tell you what, if I went out of bounds there, I probably wouldn't be too upset about it. It'd be an easy par.
Yep.
So
but it was in bounds, and you got your birdie.
Yeah, just fortunate. Like I said, the shot was actually a little bit short, but it skipped off the road just perfectly for me. And I like those putts. And you can see there's Kurt's chair I was telling you about. So anyway, yeah, so it's a 3-day tournament. Everybody plays 2 rounds, and then they do a 50% cut on the last day. So after hole F, it looks like I've got my 10-stroke lead. Edward's able to keep pace with me with that longer putt. And we're going to move over to hole 16. And hole 16 is a tough par 3. You've got to get it down the fairway to even have a chance at a 3 on this hole.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
probably one of the hardest 3s out on the course.
Yeah, and I actually landed myself on that picnic table pad, which is just past the path, but still in bounds, even though it's on concrete. So, and that's not too bad of a place to be. And here's Eddie. And man, I'll tell you what, it's just a little late release, and that tree is trouble.
Yes.
It's not going to let anything really get through it.
It's a pretty solid tree.
Yep, and there's a lot of pine trees in the park. But that one right off the tee box.
I think Eddie's just trying to be aggressive, put a little bit much mustard on it.
Right.
Trying to get down past you to just put some pressure on you somehow.
Here goes Brian, and he looks like he might be setting up for maybe a roller here.
Come on.
Probably not, but he hit that same tree Eddie did, and that's not good.
I think you're trying to get that flex forehand come around that second set of trees there, and then fade back around.
Right. Yep.
It just
For a big
Yeah.
Eddie.
There you go.
There's Dustin, and he's gotten out there,
yeah.
and that's a good place to be.
Good spot.
He's past the path.
Yep, and should be a clear shot up to the basket.
Yep. So we got 2 past the tree and 2 in the tree. So what is Kurt gonna do?
Which tiebreaker is he gonna get?
Boom.
Tree.
The tree is punished, and it serves it right for being there.
At least he got out away from it.
Yes, exactly. Brian, unfortunately, you can see, and he's a taller guy to
Yeah.
begin with, but he's got that tree right in his face.
He's
And
about
it's
twice as tall as Eddie.
right after getting a birdie on 15 and then parring hole F, he gets to this, and frustration again because it's just not going to happen to par from there.
Yeah, it's like you fight and you start getting above water, and then a wave hits you.
Yeah, and so he hits another tree, and he even rolls down to the path, which plays like a river out of bounds. But he did roll off the path, fortunately.
Yeah.
And here goes Kurt, who did bounce off that tree.
Get through.
And he put a good move on this one.
He did. Yep.
Yep.
That picnic table way in the back is it's kind of where the basket is, a little short of that. But put himself in a good position to at least save a pretty easy bogey. But it'll be a tough par from that there where he's at. And so it looks like Eddie got out of the tree as well. So he's got a pretty good footing for a run up. So just a bit low, a little cut roll from Eddie. He's still got to make a decent upshot to get up there and get his bogey. Kind of an awkward position where you gotta run across the OB, make sure that your footing is good. I didn't say anything about his footing. So, because I didn't notice that until now. And there I am with my my C blend slab on my upshot. That's I love that upshot. It's just something I know I can trust.
You know Eddie's gonna try to run this too.
Yep. Aggressive Eddie. Call him Ace and Eddie for a reason.
Oh, that was so close.
So it almost goes in the basket, and then his disc goes just down that little slope there. And so that's not going to give him great footing for a putt. But you know that he's going after it. He's not leaving anything behind. And you have to admire that.
And that was Dustin's drive.
Yeah, Dustin had a great drive. Puts you in a great spot to upshot that.
Left
up to the basket.
Just a little short.
Yeah, so he's got himself a putt to still complete that par. It is a tough par.
So you can see Kurt did get way down there. He's pin high. He's just right.
Right.
And so he's got that hill right behind him too. And he gives it a good run.
I think that's a weeping willow just right of it, and that kind of gets in your way.
You can see where Eddie ended up.
Yeah.
So, and that's where Kurt didn't want to go. So he did a half go, I guess, at that. And now
yeah, it's probably a smart move.
Yep.
So Eddie to say bogey, nope, he doesn't get it.
I asked Eddie if why he didn't run up that. He's like, because there's stuff in front of me. I couldn't run up the hill.
So this is a pretty routine putt for me. I've been making all day, so it should be right in the. Oh, what in the world happened there? Mental lapse by the Mook, and he didn't get the par. He should have gotten it.
Was that the putter or the putter that caused that?
It was the archer for sure.
Oh, Dustin. He had a good look at that too.
He's just been struggling with putts all day, and then he's been getting that sneaky out of bounds on his drives and upshots. Brian with a bogey putt here. Yeah, Brian's a great putter.
Yeah.
So,
from hitting that first tree, he still managed to get the bogey out of it. That's not bad.
Right. Yep. And I cleaned up my bogey as well. That's the first bogey I've had since the whole 13 island hole. So maybe my second birdie of the day.
Everybody putting in bogeys. That's how tough of a three that is.
And see, here's the thing: is that even when I bogeyed, I mean, on almost every hole except for hole 13, everybody else was bogeying as well. And so even though I bogeyed, I didn't lose any strokes. I still have the box. Here's hole 17, and that is not the line. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that was not the line there. So I actually drove past the basket into the road behind the basket, but I never made it in bounds. Yeah, you can see the tee sign way up in front of this tee. That's kind of the line you want to go. The basket's in a new placement, which is on the slope just before the road. So you could actually sell past the basket. Not a lot of guys on our card who can drive that far. But you can if you get to the basket, you can sell right past it and go out of bounds.
It definitely comes into play on the upshot.
Yeah, for sure. And Eddie's got a great drive there, put himself in good position for an upshot.
Yeah, this is pretty much another 3-hole. You know.
Yeah, you just want to get the 3 and move on this hole.
Yeah. Don't cost yourself any extra strokes.
Maybe you open players can get up there and get the birdie, but us 40-year-olds, amateurs, cannot.
Wow.
And Big Arm Brian is doing the hyzer line around the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And comes out pretty good.
Yep.
So he should have a pretty good look at an upshot for a par. Dustin with a little S-turn.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
Yeah, that's the best shot of the group right there so far.
A couple feet higher, he might have got a little more distance, but it's down the middle.
Yeah, and it's those kind of shots, and Dustin's having a hard day, but just to point out, but it's those kind of shots that kind of keep us coming back to play disc golf. we're having a bad day, but we throw a shot like that, it feels beautiful, it feels good out of the hand, and
So this is where you march her in. And
yep. So I went out of
shot from
bounds.
there.
Yep, that's where I took it inbounds. I threw my slab up to the basket. I threw it a little too hard, and I'm worried that I might be out of bounds on the backside.
But as you
So
can tell, since you didn't have the OB graphic, you're in bounds.
oh yeah,
so you are putting.
spoiler
You are
alert.
putting.
Yep. So I did not go OB. And here goes Brian with his second shot.
I was really, being a fan of disc golf.
What a great run.
I was really hoping he put that one in there.
Yeah, that was such a great run. He's such a good putter. You know, again, you can definitely tell that Brian's the kind of guy who has all the skills to just beat all of us up. He just did not have a good weekend.
There's some MA40 guys. Dave Linger, a world champion.
Tracy McCauley, yeah. Ling Ling.
And Ken Acklin from Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So those guys had a good battle going on.
It's Dustin on his second shot.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
puts it at the base of the basket. This
But
should be a
again,
pretty easy three.
you can see how you could roll.
Yeah,
And
you can
look how close he was.
Yeah, how close I am to the basket. It should be a pretty easy putt for him. Oh, I missed it again. 2 holes in a row.
I was just commenting how close to the OB you were.
Yep. Yeah, you can see that rotary behind me, and I should have made that putt too. There was a street sign that was a little bit in the way, but I really don't. Can't use that as an excuse. So, boot Kurt for his 3, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice par,
Good
Kurt.
par.
So you got a couple.
And that's
strokes
really
on
all
me.
you're gonna get on this, unless you throw something in,
Eddie with his par.
make
he,
a long
he
putt.
gets a couple strokes on me.
Yep, good.
And we still got at least a third of the course to go. So
And Brian pars.
you never know what Mook might do.
Don't slip, Dustin.
Yep.
And there's a par. So
And there's a big fat 5.
I fell down
So
before
and I
teed
think
off.
that might be my
Where my
only
bad
double
run came
bogey of the weekend. And there was no reason for it. So I did have a 10-stroke lead, but now it's down to 8. Moving on to hole 18. Hole 18 has a double Mando on it. It's in the original position, so you just need something, a fairway driver, mid-range that's going to gently fade left after you get through the Mando. And here's Ace and Eddie.
and he is giving this a run.
Yep.
Look at this.
Oh, just again, this how many ace runs is he gonna have? So beautiful shot by Eddie. Makes the Mando.
Yeah, he
Runs
wasn't.
the chains.
He wasn't happy with one ace pot victory.
Yeah, like we said in the previous video, he did ace hole 12 on the first round and won $150 a couple days prior. And Brian with the backhand here. And I believe that he missed the Mando.
he did miss the
just
Mando.
came out wide.
Yeah.
Just one of those days. I mean, what do you do when you just like you're trying to reset and it just doesn't come out the way you want? So I'm sure that he killed it down in Utah this week. There's Dustin with the backhand, and he makes the Mando and fades out a little early, but still stays in bounds. There's an OB line out there on the left as well. And here goes Kurt.
Yeah.
Kurt has a great shot. I think he clipped the tree.
Yeah.
Looks like so. He's not gonna make it up to the basket, but he will have a long look. And then I'm throwing my first run TL3. It just goes straight, and when I want it to fade, it just fades just so gently for me.
Yep. And that's up next.
Yep, I am in the circle on that. Battling
So-
back for my double bogey.
So actually, he did not miss the Mando. So now he's. Yep. Because the Mando's up front there. So now he just
you go.
cleared the Mando. And
Puts it up into the
Yep,
basket.
yep.
Straight up shot, Brian. Here's Dustin hugging that OB line on the left-hand side of the fairway, but he's got a pretty clear look at the basket. So,
and
it definitely
Yep.
puts a good bid on it. So, nice up shot by Dustin. And it looks like this is where Kurt landed after he hit the tree. It's a little jump putt there to get up there. It gives it a bid. Puts that'll be good for a 3.
So yeah, again, these guys they're not just battling for first, but they're also trying to hold their position.
Right. Here's another routine putt for Mook. Oh, and he makes it this time. Very good.
Birdie. Good bounce back after that double bogey.
Thank you. Back on the birdie train, making up for part of that double bogey. So Eddie actually went pretty far past the basket. He's right in that range that he loves to be at. I think, maybe 25 to 30 feet.
It looks like Dustin's caddy's working again.
Yeah, that's Taylor. High school volleyball player, softball player,
Wrestler.
disc golf.
She's actually the Idaho State champion in 3 different classes of wrestling.
Yeah, multi-talented Taylor. So must get it from her mom. And here's Brian for his par save.
Yeah,
Nice hit, Brian.
that's a great save.
I know,
That's the Brian.
I know Dustin would say the same thing about my kids too.
Yeah.
So well, we like to tease.
Yeah.
So good putt from Brian, and
Yeah.
it looks like Eddie hits his birdie putt. So actually, it wasn't as far as I thought he was.
Yeah.
So, but still a great putt, and Dustin for his par putt. And
Yeah, there you
straighten
go.
the chains.
And then Kurt.
And then Kurt is going to clean it up here on hole 18.
Yep.
We're going to move on to hole 19. And hole 19 is a tricky hole. So it's actually kind of an island hole. Kind of.
Yeah, you can land short of the river OB, or you have to be in the
Yeah.
island.
So there's a path on the right-hand side. And on the other side of that path is the basket, but it's also got an OB line. So you can't be short of that OB line. So anywhere in the grass that you can see ahead of you is good. But there also is, so Eddie's going to throw a backhand, which is a good play. And he runs it again,
Yep.
right past the chains.
Yeah.
Almost hits my mom's truck. And now that disc went to the bathroom because when you got to go, you got to go. And he is out of bounds. So there actually is a little notch off that path too, a little rectangular notch that's out of bounds. And I throw a champion rock because I know it's just gonna lay up and be safe for me. I'm just short of the path. I'm not
Actually,
gonna-
Eddie ended up staying in bounds on that one.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
just on the long part of the grass, pretty far away from the hole.
There's Brian hitting some trees, but staying in
Yep.
bounds.
Staying in bounds. Gives
That'll-
himself a putt from there too.
It'll be a long putt, but it's another one of those holes where the basket is so close to the out of bounds where you just can't run it really hard unless you know you're going to hit some metal. And here's Dustin stepping up and throwing it back in as well. And
Drops down short.
clips the tree, I believe,
Yep,
there.
and then
And then here's Kurt stepping up as well. So a lot of backhands.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and that looks like a great shot.
Yeah, and unfortunately it landed in that rectangle area I was
Yeah.
talking about, which isn't really marked off very well, but it is out of bounds. It looks like Dustin,
Put it up next to the basket.
very good upshot from Dustin. And here's Brian in that spot where you want to run it, but you can see that out of bounds, that parking bumper
And
right
then the
behind
low,
the
and
basket.
then the low branch. So
Yeah, and
he's
then the
just-
low branch. So it's a smart
Yep.
play. You want it, you want to do it, but it's just smart to lay up.
Yep.
So Kurt was up by that purple bottle, his bag. He had to take it back over here. Oh, you can see the
Yep.
disc there, and he gives it a great bid. And here's me putting it in. You know what? I've got a 8-stroke lead or whatever. Might as well go for it, right?
Well, when you're hitting center chains.
That's right.
Or at
So
least on the pro side.
2 birdies in a row. 2 birdies in a row for Mook. I've made up for that double bogey.
And
I'm
he's
moving
smiling.
Yeah.
And look at
They were falling.
yeah. It's a great bunch of guys. I mean, they're cheering each other on, and it's awesome
Yeah,
to see.
see,
that.
Eddie took his shot back there, so I'm pretty sure it was out of bounds. So,
Oh,
where's
okay, so then he made the par, and he
Yeah,
did.
so he made the par. Yeah, he's a par.
So
It's funny because I was actually trying to place him, put his shot closer to the basket, and he kept on arguing with me, and I'm like, I'm just trying to give you a closer putt. 'Cause
well, he
that's-
made it.
That's where I thought it went.
Yep. He made it.
And there's those
it's
park,
hard to tell from that distance back though on the tee pad.
It really is. Unless you have a spotter there, it's really a guess.
Yep. So, card consensus, whatever, and they.
Yep. I just know from where it was, it could have been closer.
Yeah.
But he made his putt either way. It didn't matter.
Unfortunately, Kurt.
Yeah. So, found some unfortunate OB. So I've got a 9-stroke lead. Looks like Brian and Kurt are kind of close.
Yeah.
There.
And Kurt actually got a bogey on that double, so he didn't fall back too far back.
Yeah, and so here's my drive on hole 20, and it is right next to that tree, right next to the basket.
Yeah.
And that is such a feel-good drive. So that was an S-turn, Destroyer, an Emperor. Sorry, that was the Infinite Emperor. And it just panned out perfect for me. Just a beautiful S-turn flick right out of my hand. And here's Eddie.
Going with the turnover.
Yep, going with that turnover backhand. And it gets the tree. It's hard to miss the trees on this hole.
Especially this time of year when they're full of leaves.
Yeah, and what you can't see from the video is this tee box is actually raised, so it's on a hill, and so it's kind of awkward because you got to get your drive down into those trees, but you want to keep it low, and you want to keep it high at the same time because you need it to fade into the basket at the very end of your drive. So Brian's trying to do the same shot that I did, and just didn't. I think he turned it over just a little too much, but it wasn't a bad shot.
Yep.
So, but he's down there. And here's Dustin. And his backhand is going to go left.
Yeah, he clipped a tree and lost some speed on that. And kind of faded out.
If you get too far left out there, it can really be a tough upshot to navigate through the trees. So you really want to be, if you're going to err, you want to err to the right or short.
You just don't want to be too far right with too much speed because there is that OB path to the right.
That was a good shot by Kurt.
Yep, that was.
So made it through.
But you can see he's got a clear shot.
You know what's crazy is there is that OB path and it is close to the basket, but I rarely see people go OB over there. But Dustin with a great upshot. It goes right over the basket there. And Eddie looks like he's got a longer upshot, maybe 80 feet. Is he going to run this one with the OB behind it? That's the question. I think he was trying to give it a run. Maybe a gentle run. And here's Kurt's drive. So, and that's a great place to be on this hole. Gently put it by the basket, and he's giving it a little bit of a run.
Who knows? Maybe Eddie was starting to go. Maybe I need to make sure I don't lose. Somebody doesn't catch me.
Right.
And give it that half run. If it goes, cool. If not, then make sure I don't.
See, if I were him, I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, let's put pressure on Mook, because Mook doesn't have that great of a mental game, and he could implode at any point. Nice putt by Brian.
Yes, very nice.
I played with Brian 2 rounds, and this hole was just his hole. He hit like a 45-footer on it the day before. So, another birdie for Brian on this hole.
See, that's the game we know Brian can play.
Right.
And Dustin just not come into that putt.
Dustin's either upset or really has to do number 2. Not sure back there, but his putts aren't falling. We know that. So hopefully he can maintain a lead, from the guys on the chase card.
All right. Well, as he taps in for bogey, that is the end of the middle 9. And so we only have 9 more holes to go. So if you guys want to catch the final 9, tune in. It'll be uploaded after this one.
Yeah, finale coming soon. Thanks, guys.
Yep.